You're watching the show that puts Mid-Michigan news in focus. This is Focal Point.
Tonight on Focal Point, former presidential candidate Herman Cain pays a visit to MSU, firing up students for the upcoming presidential election.
Coming up on Focal Point, we'll check in with local cider mills to see how they're doing with this year's low apple crop.
I think everybody understands how important your students are. I need a little energy to get there.
And why is MSU's men's basketball coach Tom Izzo out shooting baskets? We'll tell you coming up.
Oh!
Focal Point starts now.
Nice to see you.
Hello, I'm Josh Sidorowitz.
And I'm Lauren Gentili. Welcome to Focal Point. He became a household name during the Republican primaries this past year.
Yep, and although Herman Cain is no longer in the race for White House, that doesn't mean he still isn't working to keep his name in the political fray. It was all aboard the Cain train Wednesday night on campus.
You know, I'm stepping onto it. I'm gonna get a ticket for it.
Well, at least for this guy. As part of his nationwide college truth tour, Herman Cain spoke to a packed room of students, supporters, and just plain curious bystanders about the economy and the role college students will play in its recovery.
Because stupid people are ruining America. Reporter said, Mr. Cain, that's insensitive. No, they're stupid.
Cain also spoke about why he chose to run for president in the first place.
She said, have you lost your mind? No. You're going to run for president? Yeah. Why? I said, why not?
And then ultimately, why he dropped out.
Almost pulled it off if somebody hadn't paid somebody to lie on me, and that is the truth. So politics got kind of dirty, down and dirtier. And I made a decision, family first.
Edward Budeka wasn't a supporter before he came to hear Cain, but he said his opinions changed after tonight.
In the past, I wasn't too sure about Herman Cain, and I thought it was important to see, what he truly stood for. And now, after listening to him, I learned a lot about his opinions, and he converted me to the 999 text, that's for sure.
But not everyone who was at the event was ready to hop on the Cain train.
I still don't agree with him on most of his policies, but at the same time, I think that he made a lot of good points, but he didn't really address a lot of problems that deal with college students.
So, whether you're ready to be rocked by Herman Cain or not, one thing is for sure, he said he has no intentions of leaving the spotlight, despite being out of the presidential race. And Cain also said he'd be venturing full-time into radio with his own talk show starting in January.
President Barack Obama and Republican candidate Mitt Romney squared off in their first televised debate this week. PBS News anchor Jim Lehrer moderated the discussion that touched on jobs, the economy, and Obamacare. Each candidate had ample time to state their case to be president. Many experts declared Romney the winner in round one, sounding more polished than the president. The candidates will meet twice more along with a scheduled vice presidential debate before the election on November 6th. And with the election less than a month away, Michigan's Secretary of State office is helping to ensure students are eligible to vote. Focal Point's Edith Joe shows us what they're doing.
It's time to get involved.
The YouVote group has been doing several campus registration drives to ensure that students know that they can in fact register to vote either on campus or in their local community.
So far today it's been rather busy. We've registered, I believe, approximately 80 people so far.
Yeah, I was going to go home probably. Oh, okay. You're all set?
The group has been working together with the Secretary of State to help students take advantage of their right to vote. The mobile office of Secretary of State drives into campus today, making it convenient for Spartans to register and vote.
So the Secretary of State van provides them the opportunity for one-stop shopping, changes their address, gets them set up to vote in their local community.
This is definitely more convenient. I had no idea where to go since I'm new to Michigan State, so I'm really glad and grateful that it's here.
The easier they make it for students to vote on campus, I think the better. So it's really about ease.
30 to 40% of students registering today are first-time voters, and political science freshman Megan Holtz is one of them.
Because we're the future, we have to decide, what we want to do with the rest of our lives. And I think to start that out, we need to vote and decide who we want in power to help make decisions for us.
Many students still unsure who to vote for.
I still need to watch the debates and kind of get more information. I want to make sure that I make an educated vote before I know what's going on, really.
I'm more concerned with how, as a country, we're going to continue to do well and prosper like the United States has over the past 100 years.
Voters must register at least 30 days before the election. For Focal Point, I'm Edith Joe.
Focal Point and the MSU School of Journalism will be covering the election with more than 200 students working on stories targeting first-time voters. Click on news.journ.msu.edu/elections2012 for complete coverage.
What seemed like a done deal this past spring is now back at square one. The proposed site of City Center 2, which was planned to be turned into a mixed-use development with a restaurant, theater, and shopping outlets, still sits vacant. So where does the city go from here? This was the site in April. The pre-development agreement had been approved and demolition was finally scheduled to begin on a project that has now been more than a decade in the making. But here's what that same corner looks like today, 5 months later, and it's back to the drawing board.
We felt that the project from a financial standpoint simply wasn't feasible, placed too much risk on the city, and as a result, our city council determined that they were not willing to proceed.
Now, the focus is turning to drawing up new proposals for the site and searching for new developers, but any approval of plans for a new concept is still a few years down the road. But frustrations from the delay are still evident.
Looking across the street, it's kind of ridiculous that it looks so nice over there, and then over here there's these two buildings that haven't been touched in probably 20 years.
So why not build some low-cost, high-density student housing and call it a day?
MSU is only growing, so they need more places for people to stay.
Dempsey says it's not quite that simple.
Some student housing is important, but we want to look at other uses. We want to look at the possibility of a destination retailer, of maybe a boutique hotel, uses that diversify the downtown and complement each other.
And whatever happens going forward, it won't be happening anytime soon. And meanwhile, as for City Center 1 down the street, the site that was formerly home to Barnes & Noble, well, Dempsey says that site, because of its size and unique layout with escalators and multiple levels, is still having a hard time finding a new permanent tenant.
Coming up next on Focal Point, fall usually means apple picking, but this year is a lot different. Find out why.
And MSU's population is growing. How are students coping with the extra crowds on campus? Well, these stories when we come back.
The day we created a cancer drug that saved millions of lives began like any other day. And when we developed a new way to purify the world's water supplies, it might have been a Tuesday or possibly a Thursday. And whether it's alternative energy or better food safety, the next time we help create a solution to one of the world's great problems, we'll be proud. Then we'll get back to work. Michigan State University. Spartans will.
Welcome back. From campus construction to a student assault and a naked professor.
These stories top our campus headlines this week. Edith Joe has the details. Edith?
Thank you, Lauren. An MSU math professor was taken to the hospital after suffering a mental breakdown in his classroom this past week. Professor John McCarthy was teaching a calculus class when witnesses claimed he got angry and then got naked and started yelling as he left the classroom. Police took McCarthy into protective custody, but they are now pursuing charges at this time. Nobody was injured and counseling services available for students who witnessed the event. Meantime, prosecutors will not file charges in the case of MSU student who claimed he was the victim of a hate crime. Journalism sophomore Zach Tannen originally told police that someone at a party assaulted him and broke his jaw because he was Jewish. Witnesses disputed Tannen's claim, saying he was being very aggressive with the woman in the party, which led to the assault that broke his jaw. Tannen's family attorney requested that the case be closed and that no charges be filed. Another fall semester means another round of MSU freshmen. Focal Point's Chloe Hale tells us why this year's group of incoming Spartans is filling up the campus sidewalks more than in previous years.
The summer heat has turned into a fall chill, and Michigan State's campus is alive again. But do sidewalks and roads seem a little more crowded this year?
I just noticed like Shaw and Farm Lane, those corners are like super busy, but I feel like they always are, so I haven't really noticed much of a difference.
When you begin to look at some 1,200 plus international students being part of our freshman class, and some maybe as many as 950 domestic out-of-staters, and add that to another 5,600 or whatever Michigan residents, I think all of those contribute to what has resulted in the largest freshman class in the history of the university.
Let's see what some of the freshmen had to say.
I walk, so it take a little bit more time to get to class.
Yeah, I definitely find myself, using the roads a lot and stuff just to avoid people.
The traffic flow on campus isn't the only change with this new incoming class of Spartans.
They've moved into rooms with 2 other people in most cases, and have found that those friendships are working well. I mean, I think we've been able to communicate early on with students in the transitional housing units that was going to be what they were faced with.
Yeah, I mean, even living in 2-person, you have limited space, so 3 would definitely be, I think, too many.
Increasing class size isn't something that will necessarily continue.
I think there comes a time when the university will need to sit and say, okay, exactly what's the appropriate size for the incoming freshman class as we move forward.
But for right now, it's all about the Spartan pride.
This fall class is the largest the university has ever experienced. In many ways, I think it truly does represent the popularity of Michigan State University.
For Focal Point, I'm Chloe Hill.
Along with the largest freshman class admitted, nearly 30,000 students applied to MSU last year, and that too is a record. An old academic building on campus now has a new look after the completion of a $37 million facelift. Workers completed the construction this summer on Wells Hall, and it officially reopened at the beginning of this fall semester. The addition features new offices and classrooms, a touchscreen info board, and a Starbucks. It is also the new home for the College of Arts and Letters, which used to be spread throughout many buildings on campus. It is also centrally located, and the improvement seems to be getting good reviews.
The new additions are very nice, quite an improvement environmentally from coming over from the old horticulture building where we were stationed before. We have great air conditioning and environmentals. It's a new building and everything seems to work really well.
The addition also features a language research and recording facility that faculty members hope to use to improve the language department on campus. Since last June, the MSU Student Union has undergone a major makeover and is not quite finished yet. The remodeling project included the relocation of the Union Central Store and the building's Big B Coffee, reconstruction of the food court, and closing the post office. So far, 70% of construction is complete.
Putting the ceilings back in and hanging the drywall and continuing our finishes, plastering and patching of drywall to get ready for the painter and get ready for the casework and ultimately the counters that are going to be installed in the food court area.
The whole renovation should be completed in mid-November. The unit remains open during the construction. There are some new developments in Michigan State University facility for rare isotope beams, also known as AFRIB. The University Board of Trustees approved part of the construction and a budget of $55 million. As of last April, the AFRIB project was confirmed ready for construction by a team at the U.S. Department of Energy. Currently, the project management team is developing the final design that will lead them to begin construction. That's what's happening on campus. I'm Edith Joe. Back to the desk.
All right, thanks, Edith. And because of this unseasonably warm spring and subsequent frost, apple crops here in Michigan are way down this year.
That's right, Josh. Farmers have lost between 90 and 100% of their annual yield. We spoke to one local orchard and tourist attraction to see how they're coping with the loss.
Mike Beck knows a lot about apples.
Prepared that some varieties will not sell the same way one year as they do the next year.
As president of Uncle John's Cider Mill in St. John's, it's his job to make sure his crops are ready for fall harvest. His customers have come to expect it. However, this year is different.
Why did we lose 100% of our fruit this year? Because the 80-degree month in March pushed everything along so far that when the frost came in April, it destroyed all the blossoms that were there.
Gregory Vandervenet said the loss didn't deter his trip.
Well, I mean, it's kind of a tradition. You come every year, and like I said, it's beautiful anyway, and fall's the best time of year in my opinion. Good smells, good food.
Well, there's a few people that haven't heard about it, but you know, a lot of people have heard about it because they've tried to buy cherries and peaches already this year and found out that those are the ones that were around were very expensive.
Your cider mill experience this year won't consist of trying to find an apple in a tree like this. It'll consist more of cider and donuts, and maybe picking up one of these for your Halloween season.
Beck says they're importing apples from Sparta in the Belding area to help meet the demand.
Everything's up around 35 to 45% as compared to last year.
Uncle John says the future of its crop doesn't depend on this year's crops.
A tree has a lot of extra energy when it doesn't have a crop, so it's going to try and produce extra fruit next year. So we just have to be real diligent in how we prune and how we thin our apple crop next year.
Uncle John's plans to look into low-interest loans that Governor Rick Snyder put into action for farmers who lost their crops.
Uncle John's is open 7 days a week and hope the community will continue to support them even with the high prices.
Up next in sports, the MSU men's basketball team gets some new jewelry, and the MSU student hockey section gets a new name.
Those stories plus how some Spartan students competed for free tickets in the I-Zone after the break.
When I was green, greener than the hill, where flowers grew and the sun shone still. Now I'm darker than the deepest sea. Just hand me down, give me a place to be.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Alex Shavarski with This Week's Sports. With ESPN College Game Day on campus, the MSU football team opened their Big Ten season against the Ohio State Buckeyes last week in what proved to be a very close match. The Spartans started sluggish and trailed most of the game. After State scored to take a brief lead, the Buckeyes came back to narrowly beat the Spartans 17-16. Quarterback Andrew Maxwell completed 22 of 42 passes for 269 yards, and the Bucs held running back Le'Veon Bell to only 45 yards and 17 carries. As we just mentioned, ESPN College Game Day came to campus last week and set up shop near Beaumont Tower. Focal Point's Andrew Kelleher goes behind the scenes and takes us to the excitement.
17 years for me now doing this, and it just seems like every year the show does keep growing.
We've been lots of different places. I like this location. I like the fact that there's an historic spot on campus where the very first building where the land-grant school was founded, and you got some nice trees and the tower, and hopefully a setting that will attract some people because it's right in the heart of campus, and it's a different look for us. It's better than some big open field near the stadium.
Michigan State has always been kind of a roller coaster of a program that could get up, that could be down any given week. And I always felt like if somebody came in here and built that consistency and that discipline, then they could be there. And what in the last 2 years they've had 11 wins, first time in school history, and it's no longer same old Michigan State. Now I think you're starting to see staying power, and I think it's for real.
You know what? There's a lot of love in me for the state, so I love being back in Michigan. You know, there's a little corner of the state that the opinion is different a little bit, but for the most part, I love coming back to state Michigan.
We don't mind seeing the entire range of emotions. I mean, it was pretty feisty here last year, if I recall, and over the years, the East Lansing crowd has been pretty feisty, but we don't mind that. It's more interesting than the crowd that sits back there and falls asleep.
Former MSU football coach John L. Smith, now the coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks, has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with his debts hitting nearly $40 million. Smith has liquidated many of his assets, including life insurance policies and retirement accounts, to help bring the debt down. Much of the financial troubles stem from bad real estate investments. Smith has had a rough year with his team struggling to a 1-4 record. He caught flack last weekend when mistakenly he referred to his team as Alabama. And last week he attended the funeral for his brother. Last spring, he signed a 10-month contract worth $850,000, but questions remain how that money is accounted for. MSU may have lost their game against Notre Dame a few weeks ago, but our Spartans men's basketball team players had something to celebrate about that night. They finally got their Big Ten championship rings. Alum players like Timbo Grakis and Mateen Cleaves, led by athletic director Mark Hollis, were there on hand to present the team with their rings. Travis Trice saying, "There's no time to mess around because it's ring time." The Spartans were 29-8 overall, 13-5 in the Big Ten last season. The basketball fun continues when both the men's and women's team hold its annual Midnight Madness event on October the 12th. Breslin doors open at 9:30. The MSU hockey student section has a new name. MSU officials chose the A-team after soliciting ideas from fans. Those that get tickets for the A-team will get some special perks, which include meeting the hockey team at a members-only event the first week of the season. Students can purchase all 19 home game tickets and a t-shirt for $99. Spartan Stadium received a new upgrade this fall with a new sound system and state-of-the-art video screens, but the athletic department has an even bigger renovation on their mind. The MSU Board of Trustees approved an $18 million expansion that would add facilities to the north end zone. The project would create a 2-level addition including a recruitment center, upgraded locker rooms, media rooms, and shell space for future restroom and concession areas.
Well, it's to upgrade space that hasn't been touched for 50-plus years. That was designed for smaller teams, smaller athletes, and physical size. And it's in disrepair. We can't fix it anymore. We need more space. So
construction will begin in fall 2013, and MSU Athletics hopes to have it completed by fall 2014. And the cost will be covered by the Spartan Fund donors and a donation from MSU Athletic Director Mark Hollis, who committed a $1 million donation to the university, with half going towards the stadium renovation. The rest will go to scholarships and arts initiatives at the new Broad Art Museum in the Wharton Center. That's what's happening in sports. I'm Alex Yavarski. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Alex. Finally tonight, speaking of sports and MSU basketball, students recently got a cool opportunity to win a special prize if they could just make the shot.
That's right, and our School of Journalism instructor and our executive producer here at Focal Point, Bob Gould, takes us to the court.
Go ahead and fill out your information here. We've had a good turnout. We've had 500 or 600 people here so far. We started at about 10 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, I play basketball quite a bit, so hopefully I can sink it.
Make a half-court shot, you can win free IZone tickets.
There's been a lot of attempts.
We'll see. I mean, I'll take my best shot at it.
Had a few people shoot backwards.
Yep, when you're all done filling out your information, just go ahead and go down to the other tent.
I know, I gotta make it now.
Get students involved and excited for IZone this year.
I gotta warm up a little. I'm gonna tie my shoes too. I'm trying to make it. I hope I make it. We'll see. Oh! Thought I had it. I'm upset I missed, but what can you do?
I was actually in my WRA 110 class and I saw people shooting baskets. I didn't think I was going to make it, but I did. I did. I'm actually talking to the coach right now. Thank you.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Well, last year we played on an aircraft carrier, now we're just playing on the grass. I don't know if we're moving our standards up or down, but we're... Ooh, God, I might have to recruit out here. Some guys almost making shots.
Whenever coach shows that he appreciates the students and especially the members of the IZone, we definitely get fired up for that.
What, are these blown up on purpose so you have no chance, or what?
Great view having coach here and just cheering everybody on, to have him cheer them on during the season. So,
you guys betting on me?
Yeah. I think Coach Izzo's here. It's pretty awesome.
We got a picture with him.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that at all. So.
Oh! I can't get it there. I need a little energy to get there if one of you guys are going to make it. Oh! See that? You see why we want you at the games? A little energy helps, man.
It's interesting to see him out here, you know, talking with the students and everything, and not just, you know, dealing with the basketball.
Thanks, Coach. Season tickets. How awesome is that?
Nice to see you. How you been? To come out on a place like this is kind of good to stay in touch with the students too, you know. As we get a year older, the students always stay the same age. And so I want to make sure I don't lose touch with the most important people on this campus, and that's them.
It's a really cool way for all the students to try to win the ISON tickets.
Ooh!
It's a really cool idea.
Wow, very cool. Even Izzo showed up.
I mean, I don't even think I could have made the shot, especially since Coach Izzo couldn't.
That's what I'm saying. There's no hope for the rest of us then, right?
The Izzone Fun continued October 5th when fans came out for the annual Izzone Campout.
Yep, and it was a chance for students to meet the team and get excited for the upcoming season. All right, well, that's our show for tonight. I'm Josh Sidorowitz.
And I'm Lauren Gentili. We leave you now with football halftime highlights from the Spartan Marching Band. See you next time.
Have a great night.